What is happening, Tokyo peeps? OldManTup coming at you today with week 3 of the WBE Season 3 versus Patty Trills. And pay no attention to the children in the background making coffee. It is early in the morning. And yeah. So I'm actually recording this video the day is going to go live. So excited for same day editing hype. As long as I get it done, literally still eating my McDonald's and drinking my Dunkin' Donuts coffee. So, let's take a look at what Mr. Patty Trills brought against us. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this as much in the team builder. The team I have was built solely by the front office. That's the first week I've had to do that in a long time. But the week in preparation for this was the week of the last season of the GBA, so we had a bunch of matches. We're in a minor side league, and it was North American International Championships, which, if you don't know, our very own Wolf Glick won the Masters division. So congrats to him. It was a pleasure to get to meet him in person, shake his hand before, and I'm just saying, I shook his hand before he won all of his matches. So I think he maybe should take me to the Worlds just to be safe. Hashtag Tup to Worlds. But I'm getting sidetracked. We met him. We met Aaron Cybertron Zhang, who was just one of the most gracious and amazing people to meet in person. I was taken back by his genuineness and sincerity and the nice things he had to say. So it was a pleasure to finally get to meet both those gentlemen, as well as all the Puckle friends we had and met, and just everybody in general. We got to meet Mikey from Pokemon Crossroads, and this is not going to be a PuckleCon recap. So let's take a look at what he's got. And Pro Streamer Eating on Stream, he's got a Seismitoad who is going to be a huge problem for our team. He's got Landorus Syrian, Incineroar, so he did bring that dual Intimidate core. This is a really good sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddle. You guys should go buy one, not sponsored. Mega Alakazam, Ferrothorn, and Golbat. So the first thing I see is that Tyranitar puts in a lot of work against his team. The Tyranitar we brought isn't going to do booty against Incineroar, but I really don't think Incineroar is going to be switched into it terribly much. Won't do a lot to Seismitoad, but I mean, Seismitoad probably won't be his immediate answer. But we do a lot of damage across this team. We have super effective hits for Landorus Syrian, Mega Alakazam, Ferrothorn, and Golbat. So that's amazing. Alone Doug Trio isn't going to be as pivotal this match, just because it can't hit things as hard. Once he figures out we're Choice Scarfed, it will be an issue hitting Earthquakes. So that is that. Let's dive into the match and see how we fare against Mr. Patimus Trillamus the Third. Alright, here we go. We are being challenged by Patty Trills, and we're going to lead off with Dad Bod, just like we said in the team builder. And he's going to lead out with his Seismitoad. Now, turn one, I'm just thinking, if I could get this thing Toxic right off the bat, that would be fantastic. And he's going to go into Nigel, either scouting for the Toxic or the Burn. And we'll see later off his set, the Burn wouldn't hurt this thing that much. We're just going to Volt Switch out here. I want to get my Charizard in and Mega Evolved before this happens, where the rocks come in. I figured that was going to be his early game play. And I mean, worst comes to worst, he sets up a Leech Seed. I really don't think at that point he would have dropped a Rock Slide. But he's going to bring out Incineroar, showing us that is his first check to this. And considering he didn't bring a fairy Rabombi this week, we can just start dragon clawing things, because his 1 resist to dragon, he just switched out because he's not going to stand to take a flare blitz this early in the match. So we're going to be able to gauge about how much damage we're going to be able to do against things. And that is -1 Tough Claw boost. So he is definitely a bulky boy. With the Intimidate, we're just going to switch right out into Dad Bod, because there isn't much he can do. I mean, he might want to knock off here, but he does just go for a safe Earthquake play. And Dad Bod gets in minus rocks for free. And as you can see, we're not getting leftovers, so we did decide to go with the Iapapa Berry, or whatever the heck it's called. He's just going to go right back into the Ferrothorn, but Dad Bod's going to defog all those rocks away. And we're just going to be able to Volt Switch into something of our own here. Now, believing he's just going to set up rocks again, we will go into Burninator to try and get in for free before the rocks come up. And we're just rinsing and repeating the same couple of moves. But this turn, I believe we set up the Dragon Dance. No, we double switch because we're cheeky devils. And we go right into Hannah. And he is going to switch out into, I don't remember at this point. But we do up at the Sandstorm. He is going to switch out, I think he goes into, his Golbat this turn. Which is fine. It's going to outspeed us every day of the week. We are that minus speed nature, but this does cause him to switch out after taking Sandstorm damage. And we do see that Seismitoad is going to be a switch into here, which is unfortunate. We are going to be able to set up the rocks. And our best switch out into this thing is Keys to the Kingdom. I really don't think he's going to Earthquake this turn. He does just go for a Toxic. I figured he would predict the Rotom Wash to come in, which was why we went into Klefki instead. Now, I really thought he would switch out here fearing a Toxic. But he stays in, we set up a layer of spikes, and he's going to go for an Earthquake. And I'm like, okay, we got the investment, we should be able to take one. So he does Earthquake us here, and it takes us super, super low. So I'm like, okay. Now, is he going to predict the Prankster Magnet Rise this turn, or is he going to switch in to something else and just Scald us, burn us, and that would be the end of pretty much Klefki at this point? But he goes for a second Earthquake, and Earthquakes are really good against our team outside of Rotom Wash. So him having Earthquake on just about everything is probably going to be something we'll see. And he's going to switch out here. He's going to go back out into Golby. And this turn, I believe we try and drop a Toxic, which we do. But he's going to be carrying the Defog because he wants to keep the hazards away. So I believe we just hard switch out this turn. There's so many different encounters throughout this match. We're going to go straight into Hannah so we can keep setting up the rocks. But the Sandstream is also going to give us chip damage against this thing. He is going to have to defog so we get in for free. And we'll just be able to reset the rocks on this. Now, I figured this turn, I think this is the turn. I think he's just going to go into Ferrothorn, and I just drop a... Do I just drop a Fire Blast this turn? Please tell me I drop a Fire Blast this turn. This could be the turn. Nope, we just set up Stealth Rocks, which is okay. But we have Ferrothorn in front of us now, so we can drop a Fire Blast, and at this range, possibly kill it. Nope. Nope, nope. So now he's going to be able to set the seeds on us. Now, remember this range, it probably would have just barely escaped killing it. But now we're losing to Leech Seed, and our Tyranitar is becoming less and less a viable answer to his dudes. So he's got 2 turns of Leech Seed recovery, now rocks for free, because we've missed 2 Fire Blasts on this thing. The Sandstorm is going to subside. He's going to keep getting health back. And at this point, I get a message on Discord saying, hey, so sorry for the Fire Blast miss. And I'm like, it's just Pokemon. It's okay. So Patty definitely recognized the fact that these Fire Blasts were horrendously bad for me. So we're at the point, he's going to switch out this turn, so I'm like, okay, if we hit a Fire Blast, maybe we'll get lucky to offset it, get a burn possibly. We are going to hit the Fire Blast here. It is going to do a ton of damage, but not enough to this Golbat. And we could stay in and drop an Ice Beam, which would kill at this range, but I think he's going to roost before he defogs. I don't want to die to Leech Seed next turn if I don't net a kill. So we're just going to go out into Dad Bod. And he is just going to roost. And he'll be able to defog after this if he wants. But we do put pressure on him now that he'll need to switch out, which is exactly what he does. And he's just going to go back out into Nigel. So we can just Volt Switch straight out here, keep the initiative in our favor, and we're still putting him, keeping damage on him. Now we go out into Burninator this turn. We probably really should have gone back out into T-Tar to avoid continuing getting rocks damage. Now he's going to go into his Landorus Syrian here. So I don't know his exact set, but he intimidates us. We are going to Dragon Dance this turn. Now, after rocks, we do have a chance, as I mentioned in the team builder, of one-shotting this with a Flare Blitz. So that is what we are going to do, because if we can get this thing out of the way, that's one less thing that flies. We can start dropping Earthquakes like rain. So he just gets straight one-shotted, and I'm just like, holy guacamole. So here, he's going to bring out Psydude, and I'm going to hard switch out because I don't think Charizard is done having his fun yet. Again, I really just expect another Earthquake, maybe a Scald. We eat both of those up. He does just go for the Earthquake. We finally see the leftovers. I think this was the first time we see the leftovers on the Seismitoad. Fairly certain he's going to switch. He's just going to go out into Nigel. And we are going to Toxic like a bonnet. No, we defog this turn. Okay, that was the good play. So many of these turns rinse and repeat. It's hard to remember what I did when. Especially after those Tyranitar Fire Blast miss, I was a little on edge moving forward. So here, we're going to go back out into Burninator. He's going to get his rocks back up. And again, all these turns I keep going into Charizard. I should just be going into T-Tar, setting up the sand, and just trying to drop Fire Blast on things. He's going to go right back out and decide, dude, I Dragon Dance here. I should have just dropped a Dragon Claw to continue to get chip damage on whatever he brings in. But I don't. Now, for some reason, I just Dragon Claw here. I know this couldn't kill because I ran the damage calc. I'm like, maybe he'll misplay and Scald and we'll survive. But I mean, he's Earthquaked every single turn. I don't. Looking back on this, I don't know why I stayed in here. Again, I shouldn't have DD'd. I should have just Dragon Clawed for damage and tried mollywopping this thing. But we're going to bring Billy Idol out here. Trying to get a double switch going. And of course, I forgot to mute Discord because noob. Gonna bring T-Tar out here on the double switch. I really just want to set the sand back up to try and get a lone Doug Trio out to hurt some things. He's gonna switch out here and go into his Incineroar. Now, T-Tar can't come back in on rocks. He does intimidate us. And he is going to be whittled down by the Sandstorm. He's going to switch out here. And I believe I just opt to set up rocks, which I do. So now he is at a range where all I have to do is hit a Fire Blast. But he's going to bait out here. He goes right back out into Golby, who can come in, take a Fire Blast, and we're going to miss again. So we've missed 3 Fire Blasts this match. Now, that Fire Blast probably didn't matter as much, but it puts him in a spot where he can U-turn and not die when he comes back into rocks. Because the first Fire Blast did about 20%, So we could say fairly reasonably thinking that he could be forced to roost there and not switch and not get the U-turn off. I could have saved T-Tar or hit him with an Ice Beam. And yeah, a bunch of different things could have happened, but that's Pokemon. We go into Hanson Brothers here, and I was 100% certain he was going to switch here because I have like a 99% probability of killing him with a Sandstorm boosted, because we have Sand Force, with a Sandstorm boosted Earthquake. Like 99%, unless he has a significant amount of investment, an Earthquake is going to kill this thing outright. So I go for the Iron Head. And I honestly just figured he'd switch out here into something else. But he stays in and Megas up, and I'm just like, what? So maybe he wasn't predicting us to be Scarf? Maybe he specifically invested this to be able to take an Earthquake at this range. But I go for the Iron Head, because I figure that's going to hit anything coming in hard. We don't get a 30% flinch chance. He is going to hit us with whatever that hidden power was that managed to be super effective. But as I mentioned in the team builder, he traced our Sand Force, so that did make him resistant to the stuff. But as you can see here, we go for the Toxic, and that's gonna not be good. Now he has to defog here because Alakazam is Mega'd, so he can't come in on rocks, and he needs that because it's the fastest thing on his team. So going back to the Fire Blast missed on this, he would have been at a range where, again, I think that probably would have killed him on the switch in, and he would have had to roost that turn. But had I had that damage and he switched out anyways, this would have killed. Because it takes him down to a little bit, and I know Fire Blast did more damage than that. So, again, I'm not trying to be salty because I missed 3 Fire Blasts, only hitting 1. But it's just unfortunate. And I don't have anything to do to this, but I can, for the lack of a better term, try to frustrate him into switching out into something else that I'll have a better chance against. And I can just stay in and get Leftovers recovery. And the higher health this is, the more likely I'm going to be able to survive 2 hits from Mega Alakazam. So he's just going to roost all the way back to full health because he needs it, because he has to believe that Roserade has HP Ice for it, because he has Landorus Therian. So he is roosting himself all the way back. He's going to defog here, and I can play this game all day. And again, I'll just keep stazzing or... yeah. I would just keep spiking or dazzling gleaming. Nothing he wants to switch in outside of Ferrothorn is going to want to be Toxic, but all Ferrothorn can do to us is yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. But we're just going to set the spikes back up here. He did bring the Incineroar in, and had I Toxic predicting that switch, that would have been excellent against this because it would have started racking up damage. And as we'll see later, the spikes aren't as big of a deal. Now, I switch in here, and he's going to go for a Fire Punch. And I'm like, okay, not bad. Took that very comfortably. And I'm just thinking to myself, man, I wish I had Leftovers right now. But I don't, and that's perfectly fine. He's going to get hit by the spikes here. We go for the Toxic because we need it to hit something. Not knowing what to do, I'm just going to Volt Switch out because I don't want to be taking just random damage. So we're going to go into Billy Idol here, and we're getting to the point where I don't know if I should Z Sunny Day up or save it. Because again, that Incineroar isn't nearly as whittled down as I need it to be. And this is as good of an opportunity in front of this Ferrothorn that I'm going to have to be able to do it. So we pull the trigger and we drop a Z Sunny Day. So he's going to switch out here. He's going to go into Golbat, which I don't have rocks up anymore, so he isn't taking any damage from it, but we are going to go for the Sunny Day. Had I just attacked here with my Hidden Power Ice, I would have two-shot this thing. Unless he's speed invested, I would have outright killed it after two. So pulling the trigger on Sunny Day right here wasn't the ideal play just because of what he has left, but look how much this Hidden Power does. Does well over half, and had I been able to hit it on the switch in, I mean, it would have still done a ton of damage to Ferrothorn regardless, but he hasn't shown an attack. We've only seen 3 moves from it, but he hasn't shown an attack. So I should have saved it and just started Hidden Power icing things. So you're going to see how little it does to this Incineroar, but chip damage is chip damage. I can just keep switching back into my Rotom Wash against this thing. And again, like I said, I need to put this down to about 25% for a Solar Beam to kill a defensive variant of this. So I'm going to lose my Sunny Day speed boost, but we are going to go back out into Dadbot, and he's just going to U-turn out here, which is mildly frustrating because I could have stayed in and taken a neutral U-turn, still been faster than this, and just been able to drop a hit on something. But he's going to get the Levitate, which, I mean, doesn't bother me entirely. But we're going to switch out here. We're going to go into Klefki because I believe at the range we can take 2 Psychics and be able to... Now we're going to see this one, and it does roughly 25%, but he's going to get the Special Defense drop, and I'm just like, So now he can switch up his move and pretty much is guaranteed to kill us. Because at this range, unless he's like super modest, I don't think this Shadow Ball would have killed. But we are able to Toxic it this turn. But because of the Special Defense drop, again, I don't know his exact set. I believe I would have had a very good chance to live the secondary Shadow Ball. And that would have given us the extra turn of Toxic damage to kill this. And I could have set up another layer of spikes. So... did it matter? Not 100% certain that it did, but it was super unfortunate that it did. Now, again, reason I hate Pinch Berries is because I went that entire match with my Rotom and didn't get to pop the Iapa Berry. But he didn't have his Rock set up. Had he had Rock set up that last turn, it would have triggered it, and I could have maybe survived a Psychic at that range. But... there's nothing I can do outside of like a super crit against this Incineroar. Yeah, that did very little. So he's Fire Punch, which makes me think that this thing may very well be Assault Vested because we're not seeing leftovers or anything. But we are going to lose 4-0 to Patty Trills. And yeah, that is super unfortunate. I am never the smaller person and will whine and complain about losing when I am outplayed, and I'm not saying I wasn't outplayed that match. Patty played a fantastic match. But when you lose with that much RNG out of your favor, it's just makes you question why you play the game you do. But I don't want to be a negative Nancy. Again, Patty Trills played fantastic and has been playing fantastic this entire season. I don't want to take anything away from him. He prepped marvelously and had everything he needed to stop the major threats on our team, which made me get impatient and do things before I should have. So he played masterfully. He did everything he should have. Not taking anything away from that. But that is week 3. He moves to a 3-0 record, and we move to an 0-3 record. Not really liking how the season win-losses turned out so far. We played pretty good up until this game, I would say, where we just got pooed on by RNG. So that's unfortunate. But anyways, next week we will be playing our arch nemesis in the league competition, and that is Galactic Elliot in the Chicago Cub Chews. And the Pirattatas versus the Cub Chews is an age-old rivalry that transcends sports entertainment as we know it. So, looking forward to that. Elliot has a very interesting team to build against, but that's what we'll be doing. But alright guys, I've been OldManTup. Thank you for staying through this little bit of saltiness. Like I said, I try not to be negative. It just super sucks when that much luck is stacked against you. But anyways, I will see you guys later. I'm OldManTup, and I will catch you on the flip side. Peace.